This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
It is a gorgeous day out here in the bush, and we hope to find some magical creatures for you, everybody. My name is Trishala, and we are very happy to take you on board for your very own live African safari. It is a lovely temperature, about 23 degrees Celsius, 74 degrees Fahrenheit, with a slight breeze this afternoon. So it's going to be really nice for us to find some ellies and perhaps some lions. Now, my name is Trishala, like I said to you, and I've got Niels on camera this afternoon, and we're hoping to find a whole lot of those animals. Now, we do know that there's lions on the property, so that's what I'm going to be looking for and making my way towards. They're called the Telemorty Pride. Hopefully they haven't moved from this morning. And as you can see with the landscape, they would blend in pretty well when they're flat. So if you have any questions, guys, please use that hashtag WildEarth and chat to us. Ask us your questions, give us your comments. We'd love to have discussions with you about the landscape, the animals, anything that you like. Remember, this is your safari. It's live, it's interactive, and it's at the comfort of your home. Well, we've better get a move on. There you go. Speak properly, Trishala. And we go find those lions. What do you say? Well, I'm not the only one out here on Djuma Game Reserve in the Sabi Sands. Steve is too, so he wants to say good afternoon. Off you go.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Djuma Private Game Reserve. I'm around the corner from Trish, and we're just seeing if we can pick up on any tracks of a female leopard from this morning. Now, my name is Steve, and I'm joined by Craig on camera, and as always, we're very excited to welcome you on board. So our plan is to drive down this river here and see if there's any tracks coming in. Tracks of a female leopard were on the road there. We're going to be looking in the tall trees to see if maybe she's up there with a kill, and if there's any tracks coming out. If she doesn't come out across this river, there's a very good chance she's somewhere in here. So, shall we? Yes. Very, very wonderful to have you all on board this afternoon. It's a lovely day. I'm wearing shorts in the afternoon for the first time in some time. Winter has been rather fresh. Hello, Keith. You want to know about hunting and temperature? Well, weather, I suppose when you said weather is very important. When it's cooler, animals are much more active. And if it's windy, leopards and lions can be a little bit more active as well. Because when it's still like this, the prey animals can hear what's going on. A leopard trying to stalk, although they're very good at stalking, very quiet at stalking, they still make a noise. I mean, a kudu have got ears like this, very big ears, very good senses, and their sense of smell is incredible. So when it's windy, you'll often see predators lying down. The wind picks up, the predators just get up straight away in the moment. And that is always quite something to see, because the wind masks their approach and also influences the noises and the position of the smell that the kudu or the impala or the bushbuck are trying to smell. So wind direction is very important, and swirling wind, but cool conditions make it a little bit easier for animals to move around. Hot conditions, predators are just going to be flat, doing absolutely nothing. But it's not very hot. It's nice. It's a wonderful, nice afternoon, but hopefully we'll be able to pick up on some activity of this female leopard. I think it is Thandi that we're looking for, who's our beloved female leopard of the area, but Trishala's on an effort or a mission this afternoon to find some cats. She wants to find you some lions.
I am on a mission for lions, and I want to tell you a little bit about this pride that we're going to meet. So, previously on our other episodes, we have met the Khumo pride. and the 2 avoca males. So a pride is a collection of females and their offspring, and a coalition are the males that service that particular pride, and they would have multiple prides that they would so-called service. One of the other prides that the avocas do that for is the Telemorties, and the Telemorties particularly have one of the avoca brothers that we don't see often, the dark-maned male. He is a beautiful, beautiful lion. Apart from that, they have 5 lionesses and 9 cubs. Well, their cubs are a little bit older than the ones you would have seen with the Nkuhumas. So that's the pride that we're hopefully going to meet this afternoon. Ruth, you say the Nkuhumas are your favorite. Well, Ruth, just hang on. Have you seen the Telemorties? Well, the Nkuhumas are my favorite too, Ruth. They are. In fact, if I had to choose my favorite lions, not male or female, or pride or coalition, it's the avocas. I like them very, very much. If you remember in season 1 of this live safari, I had 2 of the avoca males walk right by me. And it was a spectacular experience, and one that I got to share with all of you. Now, of course, because this is live, the lions may have moved off, but that's okay. All right, well, I'm gonna now speed off for a Ferrari safari to the lions. I'm gonna send you over to Mike to say good afternoon.
Hello everyone, welcome. We are here at Pridelands. My name is Michael Anderson, behind the camera is Gert. And yeah, we're out on this lovely hot winter's afternoon, wondering what we might find. We've actually just heard something in the distance. It might be some elephants. We're not so far from Leopard Dam, so let's see if we can find them. Leopard Dam is a hot spot for animals. It's nice and green. There's lots of water still there. And in these hot afternoons, the perfect time for animals to come down and drink. I don't know if you'll be able to catch it from here, but actually I think I can even see a bit of an elephant, maybe just in the distance there by the waterhole. It'll be quite tricky, but let's try and get a bit closer. Let's see if we can get closer to these animals. Sharisa, there are quite a few waterholes in our reserve. We have actually got 2 at the moment which have lots of water, and 1 small pan of water. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take us a bit closer to this waterhole. So Sharisa, we've got 3 waterholes. Now, one of them we keep pumped up in case the whole winter and it's very dry and all the waterholes dry up, so that animals in this area still have something to drink. But the other 2 big ones are just fed by natural rainwater. And one of the ones that we're about to head to now, Leopard Dam, does still have lots of rainwater that's collected in there. It's a bit muddy, it's a bit brown, but it's still an awesome place. A lot of animals go there to mud wallow, and we've seen elephants drinking there quite often. Now, what we have been seeing also is that there's a little bit of algae building up in the dam, which is quite normal, quite natural, especially at this time of year as it starts to warm up in the afternoons and the water's been sitting still for quite some time, and we start finding that algae starts blowing. So, we're not far from the dam. So there's the dam in front of us. So let's just have a quick scan here. I think the elephant was directly in front of us. I just saw something shining in the distance. Oh, there it is there, to the left. It's just walking. You could be able to see it there. Oh. Well, so the elephant's just moving off to the what we would say is the western side of the dam. We can't see it so easily from now. What we're going to do is try and follow it.
we have these waterbuck here and some impala, all grazing about together. Luckily the lions are not too far from this. I'm on Mamba Road at the moment. But they would love a waterbuck. They really would. In fact, I had the Nkahumas on a waterbuck kill quite close to here, maybe a couple months back. Let's move forward just a little so we can get them through that gap.
Hello and welcome back. Sorry about any technical difficulty you might have there. Welcome back. We are just slowly sauntering along the road here. Ooh, I wonder if you're going to be able to get that bird, Craigie. Am I throwing you? Oh, I'm not going to be able to get him. Are you? I don't think so. It's a little rattling sesticula. Chip, 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 chip. That was me, of course, making that noise. There he is. Hello? Is that a prinia or a rattling sesticula? Looked like a prinia to me. I wasn't quite sure. I didn't get a good view. We've got a mammal in the road. Oh, he's gone. Some very quick shots. There was a squirrel that just tore across the road there. We are still trying to see if we can pick up on any tracks of this female. She hasn't come out, so we're just doing a little bit of a wider loop to see if maybe we've missed something. There are very particular sort of routes that that these animals will follow, and when you've been here a while, you start learning them. There's a game path that comes just up there, out of that drainage line, and heads towards the east. So we're just looking for some tracks as well on the ground. I didn't check this area this morning. Oh yes. James, I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it. Some leopard luck this afternoon. I'm almost certain. We're going to have to put in some effort though. But sometimes these animals just reveal themselves to you. And sometimes you have to work really, really hard. But we're going to carry on down this road. Send you over to Mike, who is with his elephant.
So we did find that elephant that we saw from the other side of the dam, and it is none other than our very favorite big elephant bull, Khumo. You can tell it's Khumo because you can just see on the trunk between his two tusks, his very, very symmetrical tusks, he's got a slight wound, just a scar that's a little bit, it's healed now, it's not causing any problems. But he's a lovely big elephant, very calm. Actually looks like right now he's trying to rest. There you can just about see that scar between the tusks, and they're just next to his right tusk. And so old wounds, probably from pushing up against a tree, or maybe playing with other elephants. Just superficial, nothing too bad. But he's a very nice big elephant, and at the moment now actually looks like he's standing in the shade of these taller leadwood trees, trying to keep cool on this hot afternoon. He's a lovely elephant though. Very, very calm. An elephant's trunk can be shorter if it decides to pull its muscles up, or it can be longer if it decides to stretch it out and relax. So as you can see here, this elephant's trunk is probably almost 2 meters long, but they can probably stretch it a little bit longer than that if they were reaching up to a tree, Terry. And I've seen sometimes when an elephant is very, very relaxed asleep, standing up, the trunk will lay right down on the ground and actually curl up a little bit on the ground. So yes, it also depends on the size of the elephant. It's much like our arms and legs. The taller we are, generally the longer our arms and legs are. Same with an elephant. About 2 meters, I'd say. But remember, those trunks are filled with muscle. About 50,000 muscle strands, someone said to me once. So with that many muscles, you can probably do a lot with them. Stretch them, contract them. Oh, he's coming to say hi. Hello, Khumo. What a gorgeous boy. So nice to be sharing this space with these giants. He's right now probably about 7-8 meters away from us. Very, very calm, just... Oh, he's going to go and rub against this tree. Veronica, this is amazing. This big elephant here is so powerful, but he's just doing his thing without a care in the world. He's watching us. Every now and again you see he turns his head slightly to have a look. Or he's going to head down to the water. Oh, maybe he's going to go and play in the mud. It is a nice hot afternoon. Or maybe he's just going to eat some grass. It looks like he's reaching into the... There's a nice thick clump of grass there just behind the bushes that you can see. So he's reaching down there to eat some of that. Remember, a huge elephant like this, Veronica, has to eat food constantly, all day long. Cannot really stop feeding. Remember, they have to eat about 300 kilograms when they get this size. 300 kilograms every single day. So this is really, really wonderful. It doesn't look like he drank yet, or maybe he drank much earlier, but his legs are still dry. The tip of his trunk is dry. So I think he might go down and actually drink at the water's edge. I don't want to drive just now because he was quite chilled and relaxed and sort of snoozing in the shade here. So if I start the car and start moving around him too much, it might make him move off, and we don't want that. We want him to move at his own time, at his own pace, and do his thing. See how he's just stopped there for a moment. He's got his ears open slightly. He's listening to what's around him. So we're going to just wait and see what Khumo, this huge elephant bull, does, and enjoy his presence.
Thanks, Mike. Well, you're back with us at Djuma, everybody, and found the tracks that I was looking for. Now, you might not be able to see it very clearly, but here is a back pad. And there is toes. There's 1, 2, 3, and 4. And many people aren't too sure on the size. So this knife is 10 centimeters. The back of the track. There's the front of the track. Comes in at about 8. So female leopard. They've got 3 lobes at the back and the 4 toes. It's not very clear, but you've got to look really carefully on a road like this to see them. And there's a track underneath it from a porcupine that has walked here. So the leopard is on top of the porcupine are nocturnal, and the leopard walked here after that. And it is heading in that direction, the direction we headed. So the tracks we were looking for, she's popped out somewhere along the way, and we're going to see if we can find her. There's a few roads over here that she'll have to cross, but she possibly go east. Jenna, lion versus leopard. It's actually very, very easy. Measure. Never be shy to measure. Put down a ruler or something. You can even start measuring your hand, your fingers, starting to get the size. And a lion, the track is very similar. I'll try to find your lion track. And it's got the same toes, the same 3 at the back, but a lion track is about over here. Okay, male lion, maybe a little bit more. So female lion, 13 to 14 centimeters, whereas a male lion can get up to 16 centimeters. That's almost twice the length of my knife. A female leopard will be at about 8, a male leopard closer to 10, a cheetah 10 and maybe close to 11. So size when it comes to tracks is very important. So when you're learning, don't be shy to put down some form of measuring device to see exactly how big it is. Every now and again when I come back from leave, I have to do this to double check male versus female, because you're like, hang on, your eye's not quite with it. But then when you find a nice male leopard track, you're like, of course, it just stands out. So she's heading straight towards the boundary. So we're going to see if we can follow up, see exactly where she's gotten to.
So we were with Khumo still, and he started acting a bit strange. It looked like he was listening to something in the bush, something was bothering him, and we were actually worried it was us, and we thought, oh, should we move away from him? And then one young male impala has just dashed out of the bushes. So an impala was obviously coming down to drink water, maybe got separated from the rest of its group, and Khumo didn't like that this small creature was sneaking up to him. But of course the impala wasn't trying to sneak up to the big elephant. It was just trying to get past and be as quiet as possible. But of course elephants have incredible sense of hearing and smell, so it just smelled something on the wind and heard something creeping around in the bushes, and quickly lifted up his head and flapped his trunk and his ears, and the impala is just sort of standing now. You can't really see him in the thickets. It's just standing wondering how it's going to get to the water with this big elephant blocking its way. Remember, everything in the bush is about power. The most powerful animal has the right of way all the time. So the elephant is the most powerful animal in the bush. In fact, they always say lions are king of the beasts, but I think elephants really are the kings of the beasts. So even lions will make way for them. So we'll have to wait and see. Is this impala going to get a chance to have a drink? Or will it have to wait until Khumo, the large elephant, lets him through?
Well, we've managed to find them. All still in the same spot. Still very lazy. They spent the whole day here. Oh, yes. Got to get all the parts exposed. Awesome. Now, Darkmane is close by, but he's totally hidden by the tall grass. I might try and swing around so we can have a look at him. But for now, let's just have a look at the Pride, and then we can swing around and have a look at the gorgeous Darkmane in a bit. We've managed to find some very lazy lions, and it is, like we spoke about earlier, the Telemorty Pride. So we know 5 females, 5 adult females, and 9 cubs. 6 female cubs, 3 male cubs. The males are gorgeous. They have these handsome little manes coming in. There you can see a very pretty paw. Remember, guys, if you have any questions about these lions, use the hashtag WildEarth and chat to us. You can ask us anything, give us your comments. This is happening live across several locations in Africa, or South Africa. Dizzy, that's an interesting question, and that's really important in understanding the dynamics of lions. And you'd like to know, well, males aren't really part of the pride, are they? Well, yes and no. No, in the sense that they have their own coalition, and the coalition that we are familiar with are the Avoca males, where we have 3 males that were born in 2013. We have Mohawked blonde male and our dark-maned male, who hangs out with the Telemorties. So you could say they're not part of the pride. The pride is the females and their offspring, but they are associated with the pride. So they're still part of that family group. They're not going to be chased by the pride. They're not going to be excluded from the pride. But they are their own entity, their own coalition. Now look at how that leg is stretched out there. That skin that's on the underside of the lion is quite thin, much like your skin would be in your sensitive areas, much thinner. So you can do heat exchange or lose heat much quicker if you expose those bits. You can also heat up much quicker if you expose those bits. So you see that this particular line has got it down. Part of it is in the shade, part of it is in the sun. Just that perfect temperature to have that midday catnap. That is a lion puddle. Now, this is what they generally get up to in the middle of the day. And they'll be like this for most of the day, until the sun starts to set and it gets a little bit cooler. But while we are looking at the actual animal, why don't I send you over to have a look at some cat tracks.
Well, you asked earlier, can you show me a lion track, or what is the difference? Now, before I put down any size comparison, you'll be able to see over here the 3 lobes in the track. Can you see that, Craigie? Yeah. Here is the back pad, and there's the toes. 1, 2, 3, and 4. It's pretty big. It's a pretty big track. Now, if I put down the size comparison, remember the leopard track, how it basically was shorter of the knife. Now here you can see there's the 10 centimeters, 11, 12, 13 and a half centimeters. So that is a female. I think that's a female. Sometimes male lion tracks can look quite similar to females, but size is often exactly what you're looking for. And the front foot male lion track, the toes are very, very, very close. The female lion track, the front toe, the outside of toe. Debbie, we've got lots of lions at the moment, and you're meeting the Telemorties for the first time, which is great. So in a male lion, the toes are much wider than the back pad. And you can see here, my line's not very straight, but there's not huge amounts of difference. There is a little bit over here. So the front foot of this lioness. But a male lion has got a huge foot. Huge foot. So you almost put your hand down and figure out what's going on. But what's also nice about this, you want to figure out if it's a left foot or a right foot. And all you do is you take your hand and you see between these toes here, which one of the toes matches up with your hand, which of them matches up with the longest finger. And if I do that, I know I'm not doing a very good job with the light. It doesn't match up. This is the longest toe here. So if I do that with my right hand, you'll be able to see that the right hand fits in over there, the longest finger. So this is the right foot of a female lioness. I would think it is the front. It's been driven on. There's not another clear indication of the rest of the track. It is a few days old. The edges have lost all of their goodness. But that is the size of a lion versus a leopard, and you can see the difference. It's enormous. The weight comparison, female lioness, 130, 140 kilograms. Tundi, female leopard, 40, maybe 50. So not very, very big. But another animal that has much bigger tracks than these lions. Mike's got one of those.
Absolutely much bigger tracks. So we stayed with Khumo just a little bit. After he chased that impala off, he decided, you know what, I'm going to take the water. And he's come down to the water's edge. And he's took a long time to think about whether he wanted to go in, and now he's gone in. And he's just drinking the water. You can watch him carefully as he just gently pushes his trunk out to the tip of the water, just the surface of the water, and has a little sip. Because remember, that water is very, very muddy at the bottom, so it wants to get as little of the muddy water as possible. Get as clean water as possible. And you can see he's busy sucking it into its trunk and then spraying it into his mouth. And this large elephant bull probably put about 10 liters of water in its trunk. I saw a video once where the guy said there was 30 liters of water, but in a bucket, and the elephant sucked up, I don't know, I think it was probably a little bit of an exaggeration. I think about 10 liters. You see now he's catching some scent on the wind. Do you see that? Just smelled for a moment, and now he's going to go and start drinking again. Anushka has asked a very interesting question. How much does Khumo weigh? Well, he's a very large elephant bull. And you know what? Other people might be able to estimate better because this elephant had a collar on before. So potentially the research team that was taking the data about this elephant might know a bit better. But I'd say probably about 5 tons, maybe 6 tons. He's a very big elephant. He's got a large body, big head, quite big tusks and broad shoulders. Yeah, he's a big elephant. I'd say probably more than 4 tons, somewhere around between 4 and 6 tons. So it's heavy for an elephant. I think the very largest elephant ever recorded was 11 tons or something like that, which is crazy big. Elephants don't usually grow that large. That was definitely an abnormally large elephant. I'd say maybe the very largest elephants we get here now in the greater Kruger area might be around 7 tons, somewhere around there. That's incredibly huge. I mean, if I stood next to that elephant there, I would only reach the knee. See the knee there where the camera is now? Probably my shoulders might be around about where the knee is, maybe a little bit taller. That's about it. So only about half as tall as this elephant, not even half as tall. He's a huge elephant. Oh, we've got something else. There's another very large male animal coming your way.
He is, this is the Avoca male, the dark maned Avoca male, and he is quite large. Now, big male lions can get up to about 200 kgs, but more on average about 180, 190 kgs. And he is from the brothers, I'd say the biggest one, and I'd say he is the dominant one as well. Within the coalition, you will have one brother that asserts more dominance, but they don't particularly have a hierarchy within that coalition. Look at how well camouflaged he is in that long grass. And you can see that he's got a beautiful dark mane. Hi, Ndebeko. You'd like to know how many prides of lions we have in Djuma. Well, really the Nkuhumas call Djuma home. But there are other lion prides that we can see. For example, the Telemorties that usually hang out north of Djuma. There's also the Torchwood Pride, who is in the east. And those are the 3 that we are very likely to see. There's also the Shumungwes that are off in the west, but we don't see them very often. So for now, Nkuhumas and Telemorties. Ooh. Sorry guys, I found a very interesting insect. It is now growing crazy on my dashboard. I wish I could have showed it to you, but off it goes. I'm so glad that we could have spent some time and actually found this Avoca male, because he's so well hidden in the long grass that I actually thought I could come around this way and get a better view of him, and then realized, oh no, there's just more grass. Hopefully he'll get up. He did pick up his head a little bit and give a bit of a shake because there were flies and other pests irritating him. But alas, he has now flopped back down. It is so silent here. Would you ever say there are 15 lions sitting in the grass here? It's so quiet. Our male is very, very, very sleepy. And because he's so well camouflaged, or so well hidden, rather, I've had to reposition to have a look at him, so we don't have a great look at the Pride at the moment. But that's okay, we can chat about this gorgeous boy. And if you have questions about him, remember that hashtag WildEarth. This is happening live across many locations in South Africa. It's your very own live and interactive safari. So ask us your questions and take it all in. You're getting the opportunity to meet a lot of our characters out here. And we say characters because these are animals that we see often. Animals that we know are around or can predict where they're going to be because they have territories and things like that. And we get to learn and watch dramas unfold. For example, last night the Telemortys were on the property and so were the Khumo's. They were as far away as they could have been from each other on Djuma, but still it's been a very long time. In fact, I can't recall when both the prides were on the property together. And I'm sure you haven't met the Telemortys before, nor have you met Darkmane. So I'm glad to have introduced you to them. Anyway, let me send you over to one of my favorite animals out here in the bush.
And what a character he is. So we're still with Khumo, and he's just tippling his trunk at the edge of the water, still just slowly drinking, taking his time. Remember, when you are the largest, most powerful animal in the bush, there is no need to rush. You can take your time about everything. And he is literally just sating his thirst with liters and liters of water. Remember, this elephant probably drink 200 liters in a day if it really wanted to. And that's why our water holes are dropping quite quickly, because Khumo is not the only elephant around here. He was hanging out with about 7 or 8 other much smaller bull elephants. All of them are larger than the females that are around here, in which there are at least 2 different herds which have been moving around Pridelands over the last few weeks since I've been here. There's the herd of Susan, the cheeky young female elephant, and the herd of Elisha Keys. We've just nicknamed these elephants because they are quite characters. You know, you really get to know them, because elephants tend to also stick around certain areas. They don't have territories like the lions do, like the Khumo's and the Telemortys, but they do have home ranges, areas which they use regularly. So although these home ranges might be large, they tend to stay wherever there's the best food or water. Animals like this need to drink water regularly, so that's why Khumo and his band of male elephants that hang around Leopard Dam area for the last few weeks. A group of male elephants is often called an askari, which is actually a Swahili word for a group of warriors, because of course elephants are like warriors. They, especially the young bulls, they have to fight with other males to dominate a herd of females, and they often play fight as well, just to practice and get larger and then get stronger and better at fighting. So this male elephant, Khumo, does not have to fight that much anymore. Anka is asking if elephants have very sensitive skin. Even an elephant like this has sensitive skin. You know, he looks tough and wrinkly and the skin looks dry, but surprisingly tender in certain places. Behind the ears, I'm sure, very, very soft. We often see ticks and other things trying to dig in there, and around the eyes, and maybe just under where the arms the front legs and the back legs meet the body, quite soft there as well. And certainly, even though the back of an elephant's skin is quite tough, they do not like having small birds on them. Like oxpeckers, often on rhinos and buffaloes and other animals, you'll see oxpeckers landing, but not on elephants. Elephants will almost always chase them away. Oh, look, Khumo's showing us his big, broad head now and his wide, beautiful, absolutely stunning male elephant. I love spending time with him. He's amazing.
I love spending time with elephants too. They are my favorite, I think. It's very hard for me to pick favorites, but elephants definitely right up there on the top. I wouldn't say it very loudly because I wouldn't want the lions to hear me, but I think I might even like elephants more than lions. Oh, look at those stretches. Just wonderful. Oh, sorry to pull you away from the lions, but I have a jewel beetle friend here that I think would like to say hello. I'm just going to put you on the dash. There, come on. Everyone wants to see you. They don't look particularly pretty right here, but I promise that they are. It's hard to see it, but they have a pretty sheen going on. Very nice indeed. It's lovely to see some insects, because in the dry season we don't see many at all, but I can hear them, and since we've had a wonderful wet season that's just passed, we're still getting a whole lot of insects. And for me, that says that spring is right around the corner. So is the weather. The weather is also saying to me that spring is around the corner. Balto, you say that's a neat looking beetle? Did you hear that, beetle? You're very neat looking. Yes, you are. And the lions are not even batting an eyelid at the fact that the attention has been moved from them to the beetle. Well, from this lovely beetle, let me send you over to a crocodile with Steve.
Thanks, Trish. Well, from beetles to all sorts of other big and scaries, we are here at Chitwa watering hole. We've got a wonderful crocodile out the water, and it's wonderful to see these reptilians. They're often out the water sun basking, warming themselves up, and then when they get a bit too warm, they do that with the mouth, opening it to allow the breeze to cool them down. It's actually also a relaxed state. Very relaxed. All of those teeth. All the better to, what's the word, bite you with. It's probably about a 3-meter crocodile. They do get up to 5.5 meters, 1,000 kilograms. Can you imagine? But primarily, they feed on fish. Jackal, what nice teeth it has, isn't it? Beautifully clean teeth. Constantly growing. When that tooth breaks, there's actually a conical tooth growing directly underneath it. So they constantly be replenishing them. Very, very, very powerful jaws. But just over to the left here, we've got some other fellows that are enjoying a little bit of a sun bath as well. The lone female hippo on the bank with her little youngster. They're just enjoying the warmth of the sun as they have a snooze out of the water. I don't think the water is very cold, but I think they're just enjoying a little bit of the sun. Nice sort of autumn, late winter sort of sun. And having a real snooze, isn't that wonderful? I often don't see the babies very clearly because in the water they're constantly popping their heads up, but you don't really get to see their bodies. So spending time out here with them on the banks is always a wonderful thing, and we're going to be staying right here and seeing what other wonderful animals we can see. Some birds, some more hippos, and maybe some elephants will come down to drink.
We're still with Khumo. He's still having now a wonderful mud bath. I'm sure many of you have gone to a spa before and had a bit of a mud treatment or face mask or something like that. It's really, really good for your skin, apparently. I've never done it, but Khumo is an expert at it. He really knows his mud. As you can see, he's finished now with his wallow. He's just now relaxing. And the mud is very important for an elephant. We talked about their skin being quite sensitive, so of course the sun will not burn them necessarily, but definitely heat them up. So the mud protects them from sun damage and keeps them nice and cool as the wind blows. You can see those leaves moving there, and Khumo looks like he's having a bit of a snooze again. See how he's closing his eyes. And of course, biting insects won't be able to get through that layer of eyes, which is also a benefit. And if it goes and rubs itself again, it gets rid of those parasites. Pajama is asking how much pressure an elephant exerts with its front feet. A lot of pressure. If this elephant bull is weighing 5 tons, let's say, maybe it's more, maybe it's a little bit less, that's about 3 tons of pressure just on its front legs. And if you... What's amazing about elephants, right, is I don't know if you can see it so easily now because he's going to walk behind some bushes, but his legs, his feet, the pads actually widen significantly when he steps down. So that 3 tons of pressure, or that 4 tons of pressure, whatever it is, actually gets spread over quite a large area. So the elephant doesn't do much damage to the environment as it walks. It's quite amazing. I've seen often elephants walking through the bush and hardly seeing anything at all of their tracks and not making any noise at all. So it's quite amazing. Even though they're so huge, very little pressure exerted on the ground. Bye, Khumo.
Welcome back with us, everybody. Hippos have decided sunbathing is done. Time to get up and move back to the water. There are number of birds on their back. Hippos undergo enormous amount of cleaning from the oxpeckers. Oh, that hippo's having a bit of an ecological process there. That is how they go to the toilet. They like to slap it with the tail. Oh, that is a male there. He's busy doing a bit of territorial marking before going into the water. And submerging himself. Now, birds like to feed on the blood. There's enormous amounts of scars and wounds on hippos' bodies from hippo fighting, from branches, from being attacked by lions, and they also do pick up a few ticks. So the ticks are being cleaned off by the oxpeckers. And there they fly. You might just hear a vehicle driving past now. Sorry about that. Sakes, that's a good question. I actually don't know how much water they consume. They live in the water, so they at least don't have to go very far to drink. But it's quite a big animal. They need to feed on less food than rhinos need to feed on, but probably equivalent amount of water. Offhand, I don't have a number for you, but they reckon an elephant needs close to 150 litres of water a day. A big, fully grown elephant. So hippos, you're probably looking in the region of maybe 20 to 30, but that is a guess right now. I'm not 100% sure. But they also don't dehydrate as much as other animals. A lot of other animals need water for their body processes as well as cooling down. Whereas hippos use the water. You can see they're all gone now. They use the water to cool down and the sun to warm themselves up. So they actually behave much more like a reptile. So everything about hippos with regards to body size and weight is probably very, very different to that of other animals. But we're going to stay here, Chitwa, see what else comes down to drink, and enjoy this scene.
The Chitwa Dam is just a gorgeous one. In fact, I am thinking that after these lions, I'll go and visit our large dam, Buffelshoek Dam, and see what's happening there. Because it is quite warm. If I were a lion, I too, I think, would be napping like that. Oh, look at that. They can be unbelievably cute, deceptively so. Avery, that's a really cool question. You'd like to know if the habitat of a lion can affect its mane growth. Mane growth would be affected by genetics. So, in essence, no, unless there is poor nutrients or poor resources in the area. Then it would affect mane growth because it'll be a genetics in combination with being able to actually have enough nutrients to grow the mane and actually have those genes be expressed correctly. But there is something that does affect mane growth, that is an environmental factor, that also, everything that gets expressed is genetic, but it starts off with this change in environment. That's what drives a genetic expression, or one that becomes dominant and becomes able to be expressed. And with manes, areas that are very hot, males can tend to have bigger manes, which sounds strange. Why would you have a larger mane if you're hotter? If you're in a hotter environment, it would just make you feel hotter. But to a female, that would express that that male is very, very healthy and is able to withstand this heat, additional heat created by his mane. So it can actually be a sign of good genes in a male lion. So in that way, the way it would work is that environment is very hot, a male gets a very thick mane by chance, and females find that this risk of having this thick mane is actually an advantage because it means that he's got very good genes. So he mates more than the other males that don't have a very thick mane because they want to stay cool. And so more lions in this warm environment end up with gorgeous thick manes. So manes are an indicator of testosterone levels, animal health. It's an indicator of basically their dominance, whether they are preferred over other males. And it's also useful. It is also useful for fights between males, that it'll actually help them if they had to grab each other by the neck, which does happen a lot with lions.
Thank you, Trish. When you find us back again at Chitwa, we're scanning with the binoculars, trying to see if there's anything spectacular hanging out. Hippos are all back in the water after a day of sunbathing. But it's just wonderful scenes spending time at water. Little families or pods of hippos. Hello, John. You want to know which season I'd recommend for safari? Well, the beautiful thing about safari is that you can come 4 times or 6 times at different times of the year, and it'll be very different. Summer times is hot. There's lots of bugs, lots of baby animals, very green and lots of water. So if you can deal with the heat and the bugs, it can be very, very beautiful. Middle of winter, though, or towards the end of winter, is when it's drier, when the vegetation is quite sort of diminished. It's very easy, a lot easier to find animals, a lot easier to track, and animals are bound to come to watering holes. So definitely the winter months in these areas are more popular from an international point of view, but it all depends. You can come in any time of year and it's going to be different. Spring is wonderful, wildflowers, green grass, a bit of rain. Summer can be a bit overwhelming with the heat, but we get used to it. Lots of baby animals. And wintertime is definitely one of the favorites, but it gets a bit chilly in the morning. And while the sun is not too harsh, you can actually spend a lot more time out on safari. And watering holes are always a very popular destination in the winter. Summer, the water's way more spread out, so it can be very difficult to find the animals. But the contrast between the seasons is what keeps it very interesting for us. Very, very interesting indeed. But we do thank you all for joining us this afternoon. I hope you've had a wonderful time with us on our various properties. We are always excited to have you on board for your virtual African safari. As you know, we will be live again tomorrow at the same time, bringing you wonderful images from the African wilderness, from our variety of properties. And from the rest of us, thank you, and we'll see you tomorrow. Good afternoon to all of our wonderful and dedicated viewers again for joining us on this wonderful Wednesday afternoon, where my name is Steve, joined again by Batman Craig Zammit. We're excited to have you on board with us, and please, as you know, questions and comments sent through the various channels, YouTube, Twitter and Twitch. We're Chitwa, as you probably know if you've been watching. That is a wonderful still afternoon. I think Craig and I are looking forward to doing a spot of birding, aren't we, Craig? Yeah. We did have tracks of a female leopard, but we just ran out of time a little bit there to keep following. So I'm actually going to go back into the area and see if we can maybe figure out where she went to. I do believe it's Tundi, very particular route that she takes, but the route she was taking was definitely heading back towards Torchwood. That's okay, because it's possible she crossed over to Torchwood and got her little one and came back. We'll go and have a look at that in a little while. But for now, I'm just going to sit back, relax, and allow you to enjoy the scene. Andrew, the tranquility is amazing. And well, we're going to spend a few more moments taking it all in, and we're going to send you over to Trishala with her lions.
Hi, I have some very flat lines. And I'm thinking I heard some elephants just around the corner. I don't know if you heard them shouting in between some of my segments. Thought we'd go visit them, take a bit of a drive, and then come back here when it's a little bit cooler, and then be on the move. It's still beating down the sun. So it will be a while until they move. I would say maybe an hour and a half. The flies are starting to bother us as well now. They are so peaceful. It's almost like a lion baby room in the hospital. You know, when you see all those newborn babies all wrapped up in their little baskets. And it's just silent. And you think, oh my goodness, I can't believe there's 10 babies in that room. Can't believe there are so many lions sitting here. And this silence and this peace. Oh, there was an elephant again, screaming. Luckily for us, they're not. Our alarm, or you say, what a fluffy coat. I was thinking just that. It's such a deceiving kind of thing, because they look like house cats, like fluffy big house cats. And I have always been a dog person, and that's simply for the reason that dogs are big and cuddly and fluffy. And so these lions are perfect for me because it's a cat, but it's big and fluffy. But they are not to be cuddled. Definitely not. At least not by us. They can happily be cuddled by their pride and their family. But there's definitely a lot of fluff going on, and they look very clean. Look at that. Look at that. So clean. That nose. They do. They look just, oh, very, very cute. Keep it together, Trishala. Keep it together. This one's being too cute. Oh, you like my face? Gorgeous. I'm so glad that we got to spend some time yesterday and today with the Telemortys, and we will spend more time with them later. Oh, what a deep breath. Big sigh. Well, Mike has left his elephants, and I want to leave these lions to go find some elephants. But we will be back in a bit. But let me send you over to Mike in the meantime.
Right, so our plan is to, well, we were actually driving this road along this drainage line to the left of us, hoping that we might get some more glimpses of those elephant bulls as they left the water. We haven't been lucky. The elephants have moved off. So, well, they're staying in the middle of this drainage line. The drainage line sort of splits in half. In fact, I'll show you. We've actually got a map, which I've managed to procure. So I can actually show you where we're going to be going. I don't know if that works for you there. I know there's a bit of sunlight behind it, but basically, that's Leopard Dam over there. That's where we were. And what we're doing now, we just drove down here to a place called WildEarth, very open area with lots of that red soil, which I've actually shown you guys before. And we're going to do a bit of a loop, come down here, maybe drive along the rocky ridge, and then head back over to the west. Apparently here, where it says Monzo, there's a really big leadwood that's fallen down over there. Over there, there's actually some more elephants that have been called in on the radio. So we're going to try and see if we can get a bit closer to that area and see what these other animals are doing. And then we might even take a little spin past the hyena den to see if there are any active hyenas around there. So yeah, a little bit of extra information for you. I don't think you've actually seen a map yet of Pridelands, but wonderful. So we'll we'll show you the map a bit more as we drive around so that you can start yourself with where we actually drive. And actually it'll be quite amazing when maybe in a couple of months time when you all start to know the reserve quite well and you'll say, oh, what about this road? Oh, have you checked there or over there? That's pretty cool. So it also helps for you all when we are looking for animals and we see certain animals. Sometimes we can't take photos of them quick enough because they're moving, but you can take screenshots at home and it will really help us to build up ideas of where their territories are when you can associate those screenshots and those animals with the certain areas that they've been in. So that's really, really cool. It would be great if you could all help us. HB, you like our map? Well, cool. I'm glad you like it. We're still working on it. It'll improve. We'll add a bit more roads. There's a lot of roads on the map that are not marked yet, because as I said, this hasn't been a commercial game reserve for that long. So we're still trying to figure out the best places to drive, and there's a few old farm roads which we're either going to let grow naturally again or we're going to reopen them as game drive roads. We don't know yet, so a lot of exciting stuff to come. Righty, so we're going to keep making our way around here and see what else is about. Head over towards where those elephants were last seen, and in the meantime we'll send you over to Steve.
I'm enjoying the waterhole, Mike, thank you. Got a common sandpiper, looks like it. It's also got the little bum shake that you find with the snipe. It's got that little sort of, if you look on the shoulder, got that little white sort of C. Very similar behavior, except snipes are found in ranked vegetation. If I can find it for you. I don't think it is actually common. Common sandpiper's got a very particular sort of bum shake, so if I can't see it with my naked eye, but if any of you can actually tell me, if you can confirm, I've got a bit of a glare. It does look like a common sandpiper to me. Quite a long beak. Very common with that sort of bum shake. It looks very much common sandpipery to me. But they only normally arrive in September, October, departing in March, which possible you get some overwinterers, but we did have a very good year when it came to vegetation, to water. And that bum shaking that he's doing there is very characteristic. So please, if any of you are able to help me, I'm pretty sure it's a common. Cheetah charm, it's a twerking bird. Indeed, cheetah charm. Well, I'm not going to explain to some of our viewers who don't know what twerking is. I'm going to leave that for Trishala to maybe do, because I think it's more relevant. But I'm almost certain it's a common sandpiper, but out of season. Out of season. I'm sure there's records of it being here out of season. It does happen. Okay, so can first leave Europe in June or July. Possibly failed breeders depart late June, September. Okay, so they can actually arrive from the second week of July. So there we go. There we go. When you read a little bit further in, you get more information. So I'm almost certain it's a common. Oh, there we go. Craig's got another one. That is the three-banded plover, and that's a very easy one to identify. Got that little cap on their head. They walk very quickly. No bum shaking, you noticed that. Oh, what did you see? All running around the edge of the water looking for insects. And obviously, the longer the beak, the design of the beak is able to differentiate these birds from a feeding niche point of view. A little plover like this, he just pecks at things on the ground and at the water's edge. The longer the legs get, the longer they can wade in, or the further in they can wade. The straighter the beak, the stronger or the longer the beak, the deeper they can probe into the ground. And if the beak curves downwards or upwards, that is another way of them differentiating in food. So Sandra, the common sandpiper is 20 centimeters. His beak, I think I can find for you. Let me find his beak. I'm sure it's probably here. Don't have a beak for you, I'm afraid. But the common sandpiper versus the little plover is quite a big difference in size. I'm afraid I can't tell you exactly off the top of my head how big the three-banded plover is, but I'm able to find out very quickly. Ooh, that doesn't make any sense. He's 18 centimeters, so there's only 2 centimeters between them. Didn't look like that in the when you compared them, did it? This guy looks far smaller than the common sandpiper. I think the common sandpiper has got a little bit more around the bottom area for that twerking we were talking about. Doesn't run as quick. These guys are fit, short distance sprinters. Sprinters are often quite lean. Muscular but lean. Vicky, birding anywhere is special, and Chitwa often provides some magnificent birds. Really tallying up a little bit of a total today. Oh, Craigie, we've got an animal on the damn wall. I wonder if you can see it. If you wait long enough, you will get animals coming to drink. And there is a waterbuck, our big boy, who often got a wonderful scene of the wild dogs on this damn wall being stood down by this fellow. Well, I think it was a fellow. I don't know which one exactly. But anyway, everyone, we're going to stick around a little bit longer and see if we can find you any more birds.
Well, we did have a very large animal, but the very large animal is hidden behind a very sparse bush. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to roll us forward, or... No, I can't roll us forward. I'm going to have to drive us forward just a tiny bit. We found Khumo again. So we've driven quite far to the west. And there is old Khumo wandering along the drainage line, heading actually straight towards us, which is pretty cool. So he had his mud wallow. He followed on around the rest of the bulls, but then seemed like maybe he's actually overtaken the rest of the bulls and he's just making his own way. So the other bulls will probably start following him, but you can see all that mud still drying on his body. He might go and rub against some of these dead trees or something in this clearing. But also in this clearing there's a few... The soil here is very nutritious. You can see the soil is very dark and red, and so there's a lot of green bushes and shrubs which are still holding a lot of nutrients, and maybe that's what he's after. And often even just eating the soil. Sometimes we'll literally see elephants picking up dirt and putting it in their mouth. Lots of minerals and nutrients that they can get from that soil to make up for anything that might be missing in their diet. It's called geophagia when they do that. Nobody's headed straight to that green thorny bush over there. What are you up to? What are you doing? What's in your thoughts here? He's moving quickly. You know, close to our boundary where we are now, there's actually a big green thicket which we've seen the elephants often spending time in. I wonder if it's there that he's trying to get to. There's a big sandy riverbed, what's more of a drainage line, and they often go and lie in there. It's because the sand is probably very soft and also very cool. Maybe that's where he's heading. Perhaps there's even more elephants around here. Maybe he can hear or smell one of the herds of females. The elephants have incredible hearing. We were talking about their feet earlier, right? And elephants can communicate over huge distances, so maybe even some rumblings under the ground, and they can sense those vibrations. So there's Carnell is wondering if there's Pranav is wondering if there is a sensitive, and absolutely they are. Very, very sensitive. Remember, the size of the elephant's ears is partly to do with cooling their body, the blood flow around their body. Well, actually, probably mostly to do with that. as those veins and blood vessels catch the wind, they evaporate and cool the blood down of the body, but also catches the sound very, very well. So there on the middle of the screen, just behind the eyes of that elephant, you can see there's a little bit of a divot in the ear, and that's actually where the ear hole is. So that's where they're hearing. So when they open their ears up, they funnel the sound into that. And it's very, very amazing. They can hear from huge distances. Some estimates say almost 15 kilometers. And I was doing a bit of research a moment ago. There was a question about how much pressure elephants can put on their feet. And I did a bit of research, and it's about 35 pounds per square inch for an elephant about 3 meters tall, which is pretty amazing. I think this elephant's a little bit more than 3 meters tall, maybe about 3 meters. So 35 pounds per square inch. That's a huge amount of pressure. Remember, it's also spread on a wide area of those soft, fatty, padded feet. It's amazing. He's walking in this drainage line. It's a bit of an eroded section there. Obviously, you can see the soil is very clay-like. And when the animals come and feed on this nutritious grass on this soil, they create bare patches. And then there's a bit of erosion that forms there. It's part of the natural cycle. And in fact, it's actually, it allows this. So he stopped there. I wonder what he's doing. It's like in the sun. He looks so tiny, with like down inside that little drainage line, but he's not tiny. He's massive. He stopped there. It looks like he's sniffing something on the ground. I wonder if he is following the scent of some females, because he's not really slowing down. He's just walking. You know, large elephants like this need to feed a lot, so the fact that he's just walking means he's trying to get somewhere. And now with the light shining the way it is, you can actually see those scars on his trunk quite clearly. Well, not anymore, because he's walking deeper into this little drainage line. There's 2 little bumps on his nose, which helps us to identify him. Where are you going? He's doing that joke, you know, when people pretend they're going downstairs and they walk behind a counter. He's playing with us. Oh, he's having a good old scratch. You see that? It looks like maybe he's found a bit of the bank that's jutting out there, and he's having a little bit of a scratch. Oh yes, sometimes you just have to scratch. I wonder what part he's scratching. Is he scratching his bum? Like those animals would have scratched on that rock that I saw yesterday? He's walked quite a long way. I wonder where the other elephants are that we saw earlier that were with him. Maybe they don't need to be close to each other to know what's going on. Lisa's asking if it's annoying for elephants when the mud starts drying off. Lisa, I don't think so. It's probably really quite nice. Remember that when the mud is drying, it's evaporating. So it's creating this very cooling effect, which is probably very, very nice on their skin. And when it dries, it probably doesn't feel super nice when it's actually dry, but it very quickly flakes off and crumbles. And that will take with it any parasites and dead skin, especially if they go and rub themselves against a tree or a eroded bank like we're seeing here. And so it'll probably feel really great to exfoliate. I mean, you know, every now and again you'll take a rough scrubbing brush and scrub your skin, and maybe at first it feels a little bit like sensitive, but afterwards you feel so fresh. It's probably the same for these elephants. Oh, he's in the shade now, so you can see how dark he is. So he's found a thick patch of shade. And that's maybe what he was after this whole time. Remember, I told you that the bottom of this drainage line has soft sand and very, very shady. Emma says it's having a self-care day. Yes, absolutely. We all need to look after ourselves once in a while. And you know what's so big? No one else is really looking after him. He's big enough and strong enough to look after himself. He's a strong, independent elephant. Khumo, I feel you, buddy. I feel you, buddy. All right, so we're probably gonna leave Khumo. He's having a nice little sensitive moment, and in the meantime, we'll send you over to Trish.
I have left the lions, and I'll return later. But I'm going to Buffelshoek Dam because we heard those ellies there, and I'm quite close to it. So apparently I've got to explain what twerking is. I know that Mike will be able to explain it very well, so I'm going to get him to explain it to you. But my explanation of it would be. In fact, you know what? All the guides should explain what their interpretation of a twerking is, without demonstration, preferably. It is the rhythmic up and down movement of the bottom, generally as an expression of joy when listening to some hip-hop music. That is the best way I can describe it. What's that, Emma? Mike wants to give a demonstration. Is that what I heard correctly? Yes, I think Mike has been great today. This morning we had some nice banter, so I think we're going to throw it to Mike. Sounds like I have a passenger. Alright, I'm almost at the dam, so hopefully the elephants will still be drinking. And I'm going to send you over to Steve with a starling, one of my faves.
Well, I didn't actually start it, Trish. I was asked a question. I was made a comment. And I'd love to see Trish's response. I'm going to have to go back and watch. Anyway, we've done some birding. We've left the watching hole. We found ourselves a glorious Cape turtle dove. We did have a Burchell starling a moment ago in the glorious light. And we do have another one at 9 o'clock, Craig, on the floor just there by the road. Running along. Oh, you've got another one. There we go. They're such pretty birds when they're in the open. And you might say, how on earth do you know that's a Burchell starling, Steve? And I'll tell you, everybody, these starlings, the glossy starlings as we call them, are quite easy to identify. Just take a moment when you see them. Don't just go glossy starling and then go look in your book. Go and have a look. Okay, at 9 o'clock there's one feeding on the ground in the light, which I think might look a bit better. It was just running on the floor directly at 9, more at 9 o'clock, sorry, but directly there on this side of the road. There we go. Now, have a look at this guy. You look close at him. He's got a very long tail, but not extremely long. It's long, but it's not very, very, very long. And if you looked close at him as well, which you can see now, if you stop moving, notice he doesn't have an orange eye. The orange eyes are very, very, very pronounced on the glossy starlings, those that have them. And we got 3 that we commonly find here. We've got the Cape glossy, got the greater blue-eared, and we got the Burchell starling. Now, the Burchell starling has got a black eye and a longish tail, which is exactly the one we're looking at. The Cape glossy starling is a little bit more sort of lighter blue. His tail is half the length of that, and he's got a very bright orange eye. Now, the greater blue-eared starling is a very difficult one to identify versus the Cape glossy. But he has got also the orange eye and the shorter tail, and it's a similar sort of bluish, sort of turquoisey, greenish color in the right light. But when you look closer in the right light, you'll notice in the greater blue-eared starling, yes, you heard it here, he's got blue ears. Or anyway, the patches behind the eye where the ears are, called the coverts, are darker blue in color. But in the bad light, it's nearly impossible to identify those two apart. But this one is a very easy. Megan, aren't they so shiny? The carotenoids in the feathers, the reflection. There's a lot of melanin in the feathers for strengthening the feathers. And there's obviously a lot of reflection that takes place with those carotenoids. And it probably keeps them from overheating. Starlings are very common out here. They're very busy birds, busy all the time. And then with their feathers, of course, like the rest of birds, they've got quite a bit of insulation against the cold. Those babblers thought I told a very funny joke. It was the arrow-marked babblers that you might have heard. Jack, 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 jack. Just babbling along. What have you got there, Craigie? Sorry, I can't see very clearly here. Still got the starling. So, starlings, with many birds, have evolved the ability to run around on the floor, which saves a lot of energy. There we go, Zake. You want to know what they eat. So, these birds will eat fruit, but also lots and lots of insects. So, what it's doing running around in the open area is possibly looking for ants, or termites, or anything else that might be around on the floor. And the ability to walk on the ground like that saves a lot of energy. The more you fly, the more energy you use. So by walking around the ground, the biggest birds that we know of spend a lot of their time walking. They've actually given up flight for walking, which is the ostrich, the emu. And so flying is not possible with those bigger birds. But they've evolved for walking. And walking, obviously, you've all gone for a walk. It's a lot easier to do than to fly. I still haven't managed to fly myself. I've been trying since I was a boy. Still haven't quite gotten it right. But so walking around on the ground with their eyes, they're physically searching for food. You can see the upright posture, physically searching as they move around. And they're not the only bird. A lot of birds will also move around looking for seeds and things that have fallen off on the ground, but insects are often the order of the day.
WildEarth relies on support from viewers like you to carry on broadcasting our daily live shows. A small donation goes a long way in helping us on our mission to connect the world with nature. Please visit our support page to see how you can help and become part of the WildEarth family.
Good afternoon, everyone. That is Djuma from andBeyond, Phinda Private Game Reserve, and Marcel's right behind the camera. Can you believe this? Africa is one of a beautiful continent. As you can see, we have a lovely herd of zebras right in front of us in a beautiful habitat. Look at these zebras together with the wildebeest, and it's a lovely place where we are at the moment. If you look at this, you can see lovely sun shining direct to this fever tree. That makes me to believe that we are in Africa. Actually, this is my favorite place where we are at the moment. More open areas, could be anything what we're looking for, like cheetahs or lions. So the zebras, they have no idea. As you can see, they're all chilled, moving. If we look further up, is one of the single wildebeest just standing up there. There were quite a few more on the right-hand side of that. These look like a partial head of a wildebeest. They just joined up for now, together with the zebras, which is a lovely place to be. As you can see, nice grazing area. Look at it. Yeah, Double H, this is my favorite spot. I love this area. Look at this wildebeest chasing. It must be one of the dominant male in this area. He is chasing the other males around out of his territory, because generally you find a single male of hold around on his territory. As you can see, far up across, three of them already move across, but one is following him behind. It must be his friend, maybe his mates. They don't know well each other, so he's trying to kick the other one off his territory, which is normal for this wildebeest. This is a lovely place. Beautiful afternoon, and everybody look pretty relaxed. Doesn't look like any predators around, but never say never. Diana, not like that. They won't get a sunburn because they have protectives on their skin. They have, as you can see, only animals can get the sunburn. It will be the hippos. They don't have a protection, or like warthogs and like rhinos and stuff like that. They have not so much of a hair. That's why they always find them wallowing on the mud, because they're trying to save their skin. Diana. Wow, this is not strong sunshine. It's nice and warming up before sunset. This area is lovely because it's just between the mountains. It's like this is a lovely place. So just move along, see what you can find as we keep going, because our plan is trying to find the lions and in this area, maybe some cheetah.
I am also enjoying my sighting. Our lovely ellies have moved from Buffelshoek Dam down into the Ngala Road drainage. Can you hear them? Busy, busy. This little one is very busy also. Takes them so long to get good at using their trunk. It's very important that this little one breaks that dry piece of wood. It's actually very good practice. They need to learn by copying the adults. Although that adult just came and photobombed this little one. You'll see it'll start to pick up grass and hit the grass against itself to release the sand, just like adults do. Take them quite a while. Even by a year old, they don't have full control and dexterity in that trunk like an adult does. It still takes some time. Chris, you say, oh, tiny thing. Oh, tiny thing indeed. It's just too cute. This drainage is quite thick, so it's difficult to get a great view of them, but I'm going to go over to the junction after this segment and see if they'll actually walk through, because that's the direction they're walking in. Lovely. Just lovely. This elephant is reaching to the tip top of these trees, and Mike with Khumo is also reaching to the trees, and I believe Mike is also going to explain twerking.
Well, yeah, so we're watching Khumo just show off his strength. He just reached up as high as he could and just ripped a whole massive branch off of this weeping boer bean, which it looks like it's actually taken a bit of a hammering from elephants in the past. As you can see, it's looking quite sparse. Usually this tree would have a huge rounded crown and be very, very shady and impressive, but Khumo and his friends have probably visited this tree before and just hammered it, which is quite interesting because elephants don't normally eat from boer beans that I normally see. I know he's behind a lot of branches now, so we can't see him super clearly. But yeah, he just reached right up. So elephants can reach very, very high, especially big ones like this. About the only animal that can reach higher than a male giraffe when they reach up into the trees. So that was really cool to see. I don't know if any of you have ever been to some reserves in Zimbabwe, like Mana Pools, where they actually have elephants that go up onto their back legs to reach the trees. I was kind of hoping Khumo would do the same, but he hasn't needed to do that. There's plenty of food that's at a level that he can reach without going onto his back legs. Veronica, I reckon this tree does taste great at certain times of the year. When this tree is flowering, a weeping boerbean is called a weeping boerbean because it has these red flowers that just drop copious amounts of nectar. So at that time of year, I'm sure you'd find lots of animals like giraffes and elephants plucking those nectar-filled red, deep red flowers from the tree. At this time of year, I don't know if it's that tasty or if it's just the only thing that's green. I don't know, but maybe it is tasty. I'll try a leaf at some point and I'll tell you how it tastes. I don't know if I've set myself up for a massive fall there. I have to eat a whole wad of boerbean. But you know what? The beans of a weeping boerbean used to be used as a coffee substitute. I don't think a super tasty one, but when you're desperate for something that's coffee-like, I suppose you can roast up those beans, grind them up, and put them into coffee. I've been told that it tastes a bit like dirty dishwater. But if it's hot, I suppose it's not so bad. Better than nothing. Emma was just telling me it's. I didn't quite hear it, but I'm sure she was making a comparison with some other horrible drink. Socks. I said dirty dishwater. Emma says socks in tea. Well, there you go. I don't know what I'd prefer. Someone's dirty socks in my tea, or some leftover dishwater. But hey, I suppose when you're desperate, right? Khumo's not so desperate, though. He is very much taking his time today, so maybe it doesn't taste so bad. I'm actually going to try and see. I don't know if it'll be possible, but I want to see if I can get a bit closer to him, because we're just looking at some sticks right now, and he's such a big, beautiful elephant. I feel like we should show him on the screen. I feel like he'll enjoy that. Right. Everyone loves a good stick segment, but let's send you to Trish in the meantime whilst we reposition the vehicle.
Yes, my Ellie is not behind some sticks. Isn't it wonderful when you can have an animal in front of the sticks as opposed to behind it? That's just lovely. Hi. Oh, what a stretch. It's just lovely to watch them. It's quite a large herd. It's actually stretching past the junction. I can see ahead of me. Although I can't get a count just yet because most of them are behind some sticks at the moment. I do have a gorgeous jackalberry there though, and this little one. All my Ellies are behind sticks. Alright, let's go to the junction, and while I do that, I'm going to send you over to Steve with a mongoose.
Welcome back to everybody. We do have some mongoose. Little family of mongoose that are bravely emerging out of the termite mound to feed. Small little carnivores. What are they doing at the bottom? Are they actually grooming there? Or is that one individual, Craigie? One. Doing a bit of grooming. It's getting to that time of day when they're going to have finished their daily activities and they're going to slowly be moving back to their little den sites for the night. So many little bird calls around us at the moment. Lots of alarm calls. Something's going on that I can't quite tell. so yes, they will eat termites. They could possibly burrow into certain parts and get termites, but for the most part, they live in accesses or in recesses inside the mound that they're able to access. They can dig, but the termite mounds are very, very hard, and it's the aardvark, truly the aardvark, that's able to dig in and get access to the majority of the termite mound. But mongoose will feed on all sorts of things, from scorpions to fruit to small lizards, perhaps if they can catch them, eggs, birds' eggs, insects. As they ferret around, they'll dig things up. They are small little carnivores, the smallest that we find of the mammalian variety. But they do live in holes in the ground for safety, and most of the time those holes are created by termite burrows. There's an enormous amount of animals that rely on termite mounds for their survival. And talking about habitat, I think Trish was talking about it before. Habitat, everybody, if you're new to the show and you're uncertain of what exactly habitat is, it's the area an animal lives in, which with regards to food, water, shelter, and breeding sites. So if you don't have the breeding sites or the shelter, that animal won't live there. It's that simple. It's that simple. That's why some animals can migrate. Birds, for example, they can migrate and then go back somewhere where there's suitable breeding sites, then go back again to an area of food. But they won't breed in the area they go to, some of them, mainly because they might not have the available breeding sites nearby. But termite mounds provide a lot of shelter and cover for hyena, wild dog, honey badger, porcupine, warthog, mongoose. Even steenbok have been known to use them. And from time to time, James Hendry has been found inside of a termite mound, as well as Ronald the Rover. We're always trying to have fun out here. And it's always nice to pass little jokes about colleagues. Those of you who don't remember, James Hendry got himself stuck inside of a termite mound on trying to retrieve our little mobile camera, whose name was Ronald. He got stuck inside of a termite mound, and James went inside what was a hyena den to try and get it back. An old hyena den, of course. And he got himself stuck, having to be pulled out by his feet. All very dramatic, of course, but I'm sure James has gotten over it long ago. It's more than a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago now. Do you remember that, Craig?
No.
You don't? That's okay. You weren't stuck in the termite mound. And as we've seen, many of our animals utilize the mounds for elevation. We see leopards and lions on them all the time. And then there's a multitude of organisms that feed on the termites. Even people. Many people on many continents have in the past sustained themselves off of termites as a diet, as a protein supplement. I've even seen whiteback vultures on the floor feeding on termites, which is pretty cool to see. Monkeys standing there grabbing them by the fistful. Swifts and swallows flying over the top. Yes, so apparently there's a restaurant somewhere in the world that will serve a termite as a starter with chocolate. So those of you who don't like insects, they are definitely going to be moving more and more into the food group over the coming years. And you probably won't even notice. Okay, well, we're probably going to move around this open area, see if we can come up with any more birds. In the meantime, let's send you back over to Trish.
I have had one of the nicest insect meals I've ever had was green tree ants in a jus. over some white fish. It was really, really, really good. Really good. Really good. That was an 11. And I probably had some of the best Australian themed meals I've ever had at that restaurant. You could even have your ants on an ice cream if you wanted, but I didn't opt for anti-ice cream. They had a beautiful the ants had a beautiful citrus taste. Oh, Emma said, would it be antifreeze if I put the ants on the ice cream? You see, with people like Emma around, you can't expect me to stop dad joking. How beautiful are these sounds? Well, here's another tree quiz for you. Oh, no, my assistant is not being obliging. He's going to ask you, what tree is our elephant here eating? It's an easy one, it's a tasty one. I've eaten some of those leaves before. Spinach-like taste. I love watching the Drongos that hang around the elephants as they feed, because they pick up all the little insects that the elephants kick up as they pull on the grass and move through the grass. I just saw the Drongo moving through the air and catching those insects. It's sitting just on that dead tree. A tiny dead tree there. There we go. Watching out for its next meal. It feels a bit sneaky, but they're benefiting from something that's not harming the elephants at all. It's just part of their life to move through with their big bodies, so they are going to disturb insects. And the Drongo is here to take advantage of that. Has anyone guessed our tree yet? See, you say you love how Drongos just sit and observe. I do too, because they there's this very active energy associated with their sitting and watching. It's not as if they're just relaxing. It's like they're a scout. cheetah charm. You'd like to know if it's a silver cluster leaf. It is not. Silver cluster leaves don't get eaten too often. In elephants who do eat a silver cluster leaf, and it's usually out of desperation, or they'll go after the bark of the silver cluster leaf. This one is quite tasty. It's the only leaf out here that I would eat happily. Let me give you a few identifying features of this plant. Let's just get you nice and close to this plant. Kalina, you say a bush willow. It is not a bush willow. You can see there's small leaves, very green. And there's thorns. Thorns that are straight and hooked. Betsy! You go, Betsy. You say it's a buffalo thorn. It is indeed a buffalo thorn. Very, very tasty leaves. Oh, look at this big girl. Little one is in tow. Drongo watching it as well. I just saw a kingfisher. Now it's of course flown off. By the time I reach for my binoculars. Yay! Nikki is out. Let's go over so he can say good afternoon.
So warm welcome to andBeyond in Ngala. Hope everyone missed myself and Owen because we missed all our viewers. But at least we're out this afternoon and it's such a beautiful afternoon. It's that time of the day where there's like this hue of golden colors around. And our plan is to start heading down to that pride of lions. Oh, before we get to the lions, this is my favorite animal. It's actually such a beautiful herd. And there's quite a few zebra, a whole dazzle of them, and just off to the back here, it looks like a youngster, the one that's closest to us, in the middle, looking back towards us. See how close it just sticks to Mom, just doesn't want to leave Mom's side at the moment. But what's quite nice about it is look at the different colors. I mean, if you look at Mom, the shadow stripes in between look like they're a lot darker, more of a dirty wash in comparison to his. He looks like he's lighter in color. And not as prominent shadow stripes. Rosemary, I'm glad they're your favorite. They're my favorite as well. They are just majestic. They remind me so much of horses, because when I grew up, we had quite a few horses during my childhood, and I think maybe that's where I was drawn a little bit closer. I need to say though, I had an experience once where a horse actually gave me quite a nice little pinch, and maybe that's where the love started growing for them. But have a look at that youngster right over there. I do enjoy those stripes. You'll see on the front leg, almost looks like these sergeant stripes. How if you look at the leg going up, you'll notice it starts off as these horizontal lines, and as you get to the top, it starts almost pulling up into a V shape, and from there on it goes into a vertical stripe. Really beautiful. You'll also notice there's quite a bit of fluff on this one's back. Not as much as a smaller one would have, but as they get older, they start losing that fluff. I just want to, from this one, go back to the mom that's just off to the right, just to show the golden color on the mane at the moment. Now you'll notice where the stripes run from the neck into the mane. Like if you look at the very top, because of the sunlight, look at that golden sheen at the very top. It's normally like a brown color, but you'll see the way that the zebra is maneuvering that mane. You might just notice that little golden rim. And of course, even though this time of the year there's still a lot of flies around, you'll see this mother's constantly flicking her ears, flicking her tail, trying to get rid of, might even look like she's shaking it. Did you notice on the right shoulder, looks like the skin is hopping up and down? And that's just her trying to get rid of some of the flies. Look at the back. But even notice how the stripes run from the eyes, almost pulled down towards the nose, towards that black, almost, it starts off as a bit of brown, and then the darker patch above the nostrils, and a little bit of, like a touch of white towards the lips. What I'll do from here, like with them just feeding like this, I'll probably just leave them and slowly carry on towards where those lines are. But in the meantime, I heard that Trishala actually found quite a mischievous elephant, or a sassy elephant. So let's go and have a look.
Isn't she gorgeous? Isn't she just being a little bit sassy? Not even sassy. Very good, actually. I've seen sassy elephants, and she's just being cautious. Yes, you are. You see, I said to her that she's got some beautiful eyelashes, and then she was like, "Don't you talk about my eyelashes." Who do you think you are? Look at that, lifting up the head. She came up just for that, and now has gone back down to continue her eating. This is a great place for elephants to eat, especially since we haven't had any rain. All the water and moisture that's left will collect in these drainage lines, which means that the vegetation in these drainage lines are greener and juicier. And that's what elephants want. Elephants are picky. They're picky drinkers and they're picky eaters. They want to have the nicest of all things. HB, you say these picky elephants? So picky. Oh, I got some play mating going on behind us. It's going to be very difficult to see. I don't know if we'll... Oh! I'm just going to turn like this a little bit, see if we can catch these mischief makers on the side there. A third got involved there. Of course, things calm down as soon as we want to show you. I'm going to leave these beautiful elephants for today. I'm going to start heading up towards the lions. I'm going to send you over to Steve, who's doing a little more birding.
Thanks, Trish. Yes, well, I could bird all day, really. And it's just sort of turned out to be that kind of afternoon. We've just been bumbling along and finding some nice birds. Very peaceful out here. A guinea fowl walking through the open plains. You can see they walk together as a group, and every now and again you see them scratching a living out of life. They're very important birds. Namely, the fact that they do feed on seeds and distribute seeds through their dung. Secondly, also, they scratch the earth and cause disturbance. Disturbance is essential out here. So the scratching of the dirt, looking for insects and looking for food, is an integral part for breaking up the crust, which allows seeds to germinate on that soil. And there is a crowned lapwing photobombing. He says, "Don't forget about me, Steve. I'm here too. I also like it out in the open." And then the guinea fowls also form a very important buffer food for many of our predators. Wouldn't necessarily say lions are the biggest hunters of guinea fowl, but leopard most certainly, wildcat, serval, caracal, and then the large raptors as well. Very important food source for them. And being prolific breeders, guinea fowl can really bolster their numbers in times when other prey animals are probably declined or decreased in number due to droughts. The guinea fowl actually increase because of their ability to scratch out a living on the landscape. And like the birds I was talking about, guinea fowl don't really fly. They could clear a fence in a small little area as a last resort to avoid being caught by a leopard, but they do not, for the most part, fly. They spend most of their time running, and if I went to go catch one, they would just run away from me because they know they're quick enough. Oh. The vet, you've added guinea fowl to your list now. Very good, very good. For those of you who don't know what a vet's talking about, many of our viewers keep virtual bird lists of the birds that they get to see. And I wonder how many birds have been increased on those lists since the addition of andBeyond Phinda and Tswalu Kalahari, with such dynamic and different locations and habitats. Obviously, andBeyond Ngala as well as Pridelands, they've got a very similar sort of habitat type and bird species composition. But talking about andBeyond Phinda, it sounds like they've got some cats.
Welcome back, everyone. As you can see right behind there, we have the lovely cheetah with the 3 young cubs, which is amazing to see. They're moving along through to the long grass over there. Try and see, follow where Marcel is zooming. We might be able to see the cubs moving. Here we go. They're just moving across the small patch over there. Well, she looks like she's busy hunting at the moment. She's very, very skinny, as you can see her. We're trying to loop around and try not to step where she's going because, especially with the small cubs as well. Looks like she's actually focusing over behind the tree. I'm not sure if she spotted something there. Wow, look at the small cubs, amazing. Wow, we're gonna stay on this area for now. See if we can get a better view. Wow, that's lovely. It's very good. Awesome evening, especially with the small cubs. She's kind of running through the... Yeah, she's moving through to the tall grass over there. I find very... We won't be able to follow through. They were trying to loop around, and she might come around, crossing the next road there, and see if you can get a better view from there. Especially the sun shining direct where she's going to will be awesome to us. Okay. Alright, so we're going to try to loop around because she's cutting through to the bushes, and we're trying to catch her around on the other side there.
How lucky are we at this moment? So the whole pride we managed to find, or not the whole pride, the one that's still missing is that young white female. Now what I'm thinking is possibly with the other young male that was around, so that Birmingham young male, the one that had the limp. So if that male is somewhere here, or maybe left behind, I wonder if that young female might not be with him. So I would almost expected her to be here now. So for those viewers, or for those of our viewers that don't know too much about this pride, so this is the Birmingham pride. It's the pride with the 2 white lines in it. And at the moment, we can only see one of the white lines, which is just lying down off to the right here. So just see there's a tree, and he's just positioned himself behind this tree so that you can just see the outline of his body. Place definitely sleeping giants. It's so amazing with lions in general, like whenever they lie down like here, they don't look like ferocious predators. However, when they do move, it's almost like there's this switch that someone has switched on, and all of a sudden, from just being these lazy cats sleeping for majority of the day, they become into these ultimate hunters. One of the females actually picked up her head just off to the left from where this one is. Now what I'm wondering is, let's have a look. If she starts yawning, there we go, there's one yawn. It's not always the best indication, but often if lions start yawning consistently, it's a sign that they are going to get up. There's a second yawn. So let's test the theory. I mean, we've tried it and tested it a few times and it's worked, but let's just see with her. So Adam, age 6, so with tigers you mainly find them up in India, so they're more in the type of habitat that they occur also in is a very jungly habitat in comparison to that of the lions, and also they are very solitary animals, solitary hunters. They have to use thick cover, camouflage in order to conceal themselves in order to hunt. Whereas, so if you had to compare them against an African cat, that's very similar in terms of using camouflage, and the whole design and the way they stalk animals would probably be something like a leopard. Just have a look how she's just cleaning herself. Often what she'll do, she'll just lick that front paw of hers and then brush it through her face in order to clean herself. Have a look. Doesn't, just noticing from all of them, it doesn't look like they had anything to eat maybe during the day. Maybe it could have been from yesterday or the day before. And with them still being in this area, I'm sure they haven't been successful during the day, but who knows, maybe as it starts getting darker, these lions are going to start moving, and that's normally when they do most of their hunts, is during the evening, early part of the morning. So for now, I just want to spend a bit more time with these lions, and hopefully we'll be rewarded with them getting up. But in the meantime, let's send you across to Steve, because apparently he has found quite an amazing bird.
Thanks, Nikki. Well, I wonder if counting lions yawning is the same as counting sheep. An animal yawns normally makes me tired. Or when a person yawns anyway, makes me yawn. We have found a grey-headed heron. Perched on top of the tree, head tucked in. This is the bird that has got a very long beak for piercing and darting, catching prey, and quite large feet for walking around wetland areas and splaying out the weight so that they don't sink in. And a bit of a ruffled chest over there. What's it doing? Oh, wonderful. Alana, it does look like a well-fed heron. These birds are very adaptable at eating and finding food, especially as the season starts to dry on and they're aquatic birds. In the shallows and the shallower pools, ability to catch fish as well as frogs becomes easier. Many birds, in fact, migrate around parts of South Africa to time it in perfect timing for when the pans, the seasonal floodplains, decreasing in sort of water volume, and it becomes easier to see and move around and sort of push the fish around into shallows and then catch them. I'm sure he's got a wonderful view up there of the setting sun. We're a little bit too down in the depression here to be enjoying it ourselves. Okay, well, it seems as if Trishala's lions are on the move, I think, so let's send you over to her.
They're moving. Ooh. This is how it starts. Stretches. Grooming. Reaffirming some bonds. And then they get up and move. They won't move a lot at first, so just move a couple meters here, a couple meters there. You'll know when they're actually on the move. Ooh, that's a very good question, Yo. You'd like to know if dark-maned lions are more aggressive than lighter-maned ones. And I know exactly why you're asking it. It makes sense because dark-maned lions have higher concentration of testosterone and other sex hormones. So it's an assumption that anyone would make. And I don't know. I don't know if dark-maned lions are more aggressive. I do know that dark-maned lions are more likely to be dominant within their coalition. But like we said, there's not a defined hierarchy within a coalition. But there may be one individual that's a little bit more dominant, kind of like the leader, bless you, in the coalition? But that is an interesting question, and I don't know the answer to that. That would be an interesting study. How do we measure aggression? Can be done if they come into contact with other males, but or if they don't, you know? That would be a really interesting study. The sun is just making for beautiful light. Oh, someone's up. Beauty. Oh, don't you love lions in this light? And now they're all moving to the shade. We have one more left in the light. Oh, someone's got a hairball. Did you hear that? We have one more lion left in the sun, and they're all moving to the shade, but Nikki has some sun-kissed ones. So let's go over.
Trishala had quite a beautiful sighting with lions in that the golden colors. We decided let's just move around and see if we can also just have a bit of another view of them. And just look at how these lions are almost backlit to where we are now. You'll see this golden rim around them. And this is the young white male that we were talking about earlier. Now, if he stands up, I want us to have a look around the hip area, because it looked like there was quite a big, well, not a big gash, but there was a gash around his rump. And I wonder if it was from buffalo that they were hunting over the last few days. Maybe the horn of that buffalo caught the backside. But it doesn't look like something serious. Oh. He's just decided, no, not yet. No one's moving. Only the flies are bothering me, so I'm not going to head anywhere pretty soon. But what I want to do is I want everyone just to watch these lions with the sun setting, and I want you to listen to the sounds that we have as well. Rosemary, how unique and fortunate are we to be able to see this pride? They are a really beautiful pride to watch. I know I've spoken to Marcel today, and remember he was the cameraman up here in Ngala before he went down to Phinda, and he reckons from seeing especially this particular pride, I mean he's seen a lot of lions around in Ngala, but this particular pride was one of his favorites as well, being able to spend some time with him. I think for all of us, especially the rangers also, we really enjoy following this pride and being able to see and learn more of their behavior. Because I think for me also, from all the eras that I've guided before, each pride has certain characteristics that are very similar in terms of lion behavior in general, but every single pride has a unique characteristic, unique patterns of movement and when and where they do move. And this particular pride moves quite a bit. The other day we were tracking them and they crossed, I think it was close to 16, 17 kilometers during the night to get to a particular waterhole. And during that time, as they were moving, they actually killed 2 impala. So I could just imagine between those spaces, they would have just put their heads down and moved as fast as they can. Where in some areas, the lions don't need to move that far. And I wonder also that young female was still with the young cub, because of the movements of this pride, she just can't keep up with them, with those youngsters, and that's why she's almost moved away from them until they are capable of keeping up, and then she'll bring them back into the pride. But also, being such a big pride, I mean, right here there's 11 lions. There's quite a bit of competition for food, so maybe that's also another reason why she's keeping them back for now. But in the meantime, that female is just scanning carefully through the trees, through the blades of grass to make sure, and to see if there's any potential meal for this evening. Elizabeth, in Africa, they are the heaviest of the big cats, but tigers are heavier than lions. But within where we are now, they are the heaviest. I mean, a big male lion can weigh up to 240 kilograms, so let's say 500 pounds. And a big female, like the one that we just looked at now, probably around 156, maybe 160 kilograms, or 300 and something, 20 pounds. So they are one of the biggest. And then under them would be something like a big male leopard. And a big male leopard would at the most be close to 100 kilograms. So these lionesses literally outcompete most of the bigger cats. But have a look at the beautiful mountain range in the back. So that's the Drakensberg mountain range. And this, I also wonder if the lions didn't strategically place themselves here, of course, to scan and see if there's any potential meal, because you can see the vantage point where we are now. You can actually see the mountains in the distance. So if you were down in the valley, you can't really have that wide view of what's going on around. But it is so beautiful. And of course, there's just sun setting in the west.
WildEarth relies on support from viewers like you to carry on broadcasting our daily live shows. A small donation goes a long way in helping us on our mission to connect the world with nature. Please visit our support page to see how you can help and become part of the WildEarth family.
On this side, me also. Our Telemorty are on the move. It's quite nice. They've moved, they're kind of all around at the moment, so got to pick where I'm driving very carefully. So, they're crossing straight over Drakensberg. And they're going to go straight over Cheetah Cut Line.
Can I have an update?
Stations at Telemorty have crossed Drakensberg, and they look like they're going to head straight east over Cheetah Cut Line. So, I'm thinking, let's go on Cheetah Cut Line and stand by. They're in a line, walking in a gorgeous line. Actually, it'll be quicker if I go the other way. striped horse, you'd like to have lions sleep for fewer hours since the winter days are shorter. They tend to, and so do predators in general. Because they are heavily affected by heat, and they can't hunt very much when it's very hot. So the cooler days, shorter day lengths, are very helpful to them. They'll start getting up earlier and settling down later during the day. I was so hoping that dark mane would come out into that sunlight, though the last bits of it. But you'll find that the males kind of move last. As he's getting up now. Just got up. Yep, he's gonna walk on this path in front of us, hopefully. Niels, can you see him there? Let's just watch. Let's just watch. Let's see. Oh, bless you. Okay, I'm gonna send you over to Nikki before he has to move, and we'll try and figure out where the Savoca is going to.
Just have a look at this particular female here, how she's staring down into the valley below. Now there's a few of them that have picked up their head. We're just trying to see if there is anything down on that side, because what I can imagine is something possibly like wildebeest or zebra that are moving towards this open area, just off to the right of where they are. But notice these ones here, just carefully scanning. They're lying down in such a way that the wind's actually coming from the back. So if something had to move behind them, they'll probably be able to smell it, but at least if something's coming from downwind, they'll be able to see it. And I think, especially with these bigger females, it must be so hard for them in order to look after all these youngsters. Can you imagine 8 youngsters, and sometimes the sub-adult male, and maybe the Ross males that could join up. So they need to constantly hunt in order to keep everyone going. So for them, it's very, very important that they use every opportunity they can get. And even though they are such a big pride, they're not always successful with their hunts. So with lions in general, we mentioned it a couple of times during our... So in the meantime, we'll probably just see what they're going to be doing. But I heard Darkmane is going to move past Trishala, so let's quickly head towards her.
Watch this magnificent creature. Bless you. Look at that. Amazing. Right in front of our vehicle. You like this tree? You can see that right front paw is, I mean, that's never going to heal really, but he's doing excellently with it. That injury has been a long injury now, close to a year I think, if not a year that he's had that, and he is doing exceptionally well. That was lovely. So now we'll go with our original plan, that is to go to Cheetah Cut Line and see if we can see them cross. Let's do it. Wasn't that special? I thought that was so special. All of you were saying that was really great. I think so too. It's been such a long time since we've seen Darkmane fully, not hidden behind trees, branches, or from afar. He was right there, 2 meters from the bonnet of the vehicle, walking straight past. Unbelievable. This is what I love about my job. And it's all those small little gorgeous things that I'm interested in, all these big things that come through and say hello. All right, Steve also has a very exciting walk by, guys. Let's go over and see.
Thanks, Trish. Well, walk-bys are the best, aren't they? We've got a double team here. A pair of Cape glossy starlings this time. Let's see if you can see the difference. You can easily see that orange eye, can't you? It stands out from a distance, and the tail is quite small. And if you do look very close, it's not always very easy to do, but you'll notice they don't have a dark patch behind the ear. Now, these fellows are walking around on the cheetah cut line boundary on this fire break that was put in. And it's common to find many birds moving through these areas after fire. Fire is a natural ecological driving force in the savannah. And, not everything can escape the fire. So insects will get charred. Some small mammals might, as well as some small reptiles. It is part and parcel of what happens. Majority of them will find shelter underground or move away. But it doesn't actually, it's not lucky. Not everybody is as lucky. And so many birds are found on these open, burnt areas afterwards, cleaning up and picking up the scraps. So another very good opportunistic behavior that these birds have evolved with. When the fires are actually happening and the burning is happening, you'll find birds like tawny eagles and yellow-billed kites sort of flying in front of the flames, where the flames and the wind are pushing insects that are trying to escape the flames into their jaws or into their talons. And they've evolved that strategy. They've learned how to feed, to take opportunity when it arises. And most of the big mammals, all of them pretty much, smell smoke and they get out of there very quickly. Together with us, all of these animals have evolved in that landscape. And another bird that enjoys doing a fair bit of walking. Keen they are, aren't they? Animals are so clever. Very good learned behavior. A little bit of barbecued insect. We talked about insects earlier, and these starlings like this, a little bit charred. Just see a little touch of green coming out as the vegetation is starting to grow back after the fire. Now, when I say fire break, it's a long strip between two properties that is maintained as a fire protection by management, so that if a fire comes out of season, out of control fire, it will hit this very large open area, both on the right and left-hand side of the road, and potentially stop it. It also provides management with access and an area where to fight the fire if it is coming. Say a big fire is coming in from the right-hand side, management can drive along this area and burn further. Start burning, because the wind's coming from the right to the left. They can start burning the fire break even further in so that it burns up to the fire that's approaching and smothers it. So very useful to have access. and a very straight road like this, we generally call a cut line, because once upon a time it was sort of the boundary between properties with a fence, and so it definitely is a boundary between. Ragnar, you said that hummingbirds benefit from fires. I wonder how that is. I'm not sure how they benefit, but I know that the Fynbos biome down in South Africa is a very fire-driven ecosystem, and a lot of the plants there require fire, not just for germination, as well as for removing competition. And there's many plants down there that produce a very nice tubular flower that I suppose without the fire that plant wouldn't have gotten to that stage. So I wonder what it is that hummingbirds benefit from. I really don't know enough about them, apart from they fly far better than I do. Okay, well, we're going to carry on along our straight line and send you over to Trishala, who's still got her lions.
They have taken a pause. I see what you did there, Steve. Well done, well done. I tipped my hat. And they're waiting for our lovely evoker to join them. But they are on the Torchwood side of Cheetah Cutline. So this will probably be the last moments we have with them for this evening. But that's okay. I think we've had a wonderful afternoon. I think I can hear the evoker coming through. I was hoping we'd get some roars, things like that. Maybe not just yet. They like the air to be nice and cold for those types of vocalizations. There he comes. He's just through there. There he comes. Oh, look at his cubs. Look at his cubs. Oh, my goodness. Oh, was that not beautiful? That was, they waited for him, they saw him come, they got excited, they got up when they saw him approach and gave him that lovely welcome. Come on, Dad, we're heading out. We'll wait for you. Oh, that just warmed my heart. And off they go. Into Torchwood. Hopefully to be seen again very, very soon. At least I hope so. Wasn't that sweet? That was so sweet and very much a daddy's girl, as you can tell. I thought that was very, very sweet. All right. Well, that's all lion sighting for the afternoon. Done and dusted. Tom, you say that really was wonderful. It really was, Tom. It really, really was. All right. Let's head off in a homey direction. We're all the way in the on the eastern boundary. So we'll slowly start making our way towards camp. Ooh, Nikki's on the search for a last minute leopard. I give him all my luck. You go, Nikki.
Thanks, Trishala. So, we've just left those lions. Now, there were reports earlier from Richard and Ernie, so the two trackers that are working really hard to try and find some of the beautiful animals so we can view them. and they said they found a carcass, I don't know from what, it might be impala, up in a tree not too far away from here. So those lions eventually decided to move off a little bit, and they all went and they lied down, and probably they're going to be there for the next little while. So we decided, let's go past this. I mean, it's a high risk, high reward. There's a chance it could be something, there's a chance there might not be something, but as we said this morning, we got to risk it for the biscuit and see if there's any chance of finding anything. Now, I'm thinking, if it's a carcass up in the tree, it must be a leopard. And the leopard that could be, when they were past there, I didn't see any leopard. Now, I'm thinking maybe it's the Tswalu female, so that mother leopard with the two youngsters, the young male and the young female. And she probably made the kill, hoisted it up in the tree so the hyenas won't get it, and now she's gone to go and fetch the youngsters. Now, apparently it's not too far from here. So I'm just going to carefully scan as we drive, and hopefully spot this leopard. Now, often this time of the evening, it's not easy to spot leopard because the light is slowly fading on it, and it's just before we start using a spotlight. Now, I'm just carefully driving because as these leopards might move, the white end at the end of the tail, maybe under the chin, that bit of white, that's what we could be looking out for. And so I'm going to ask all the viewers to keep those fingers crossed, and hopefully we can get this leopard, or leopards. And as I'm going to just carry on and see if there's any signs of possibly these leopards, let's hear from Steve and wish him the best of luck, and hopefully he can find us something interesting as well. He's out with the spotlight at the moment.
Thanks, Nikki. Well, we do have our spotlight out. And I've been tasked by a very dear person in my life to find a chameleon. So, I'm going to be looking for a chameleon tonight. I haven't found one in ages. I haven't really been looking. Trishala loves her chameleon, so let's see if we can find one. No doubt when Emma tells her that in her ear, Trish is going to be like, challenge accepted, although I didn't put out a challenge. Nice to see them. No, you'd never do that, Emma. I know. So, last minute chameleon coming up. And whenever I do this sort of search, I end up bumping into leopard. It's so inconvenient. You know, trying to find a chameleon and a leopard in the road. It's like, move out of the road, leopard. I'm only joking, everyone. We love finding leopards randomly like that. Hey, Craig, do you remember that time I did a medicinal Monday under that tree over there? And we were getting up to drive away, and we were about to leave, and I said, let's actually go this way, towards Buvershoek watering hole, and driving along just like this, and Craig's like leopard, and Tingana was sitting on this termite mound. He'd been watching me do my medicinal Monday on the marula, which is so splendid. He didn't actually come over and ask if he could taste it, but he did watch me the whole time. Made me feel quite honored that I had the Duke watching my performance. Okay, so it sounds like the Telemortys have crossed to go towards Torchwood for a drink. We were talking earlier about when do we go on safari, the best times, and you know, watering holes this time of year are a place of activity, and these animals will go there because the water's only in those places. But in summer, there's water everywhere, so you can't actually gauge where any animal's going to go with regards to that sort of movement. But when they start moving in a general direction of a watering hole in the winter months, go check there. It's a very good way of doing so. And once you know all the little bits and pieces and pans and puddles around the property, then you can find them in the summer as well. Yeah, Lee, that's exactly what the Duke is doing. He's probably been spying on many of my concoctions and decoctions before, and now he's busy making some for himself. A nice elixir for when it comes time to come back and sort out Moati. I'd love to see that happen. Very peaceful here at Buffelshoek, but we're going to carry on because we have a mission. Well, we're going to go down this road, have a little look in the trees, and send you over to the chameleon queen herself.
Oh, why? I'm flattered. Chameleon queen, you say? Oh, thank you, Steve. I do love those little critters. Really, really do. Can't wait to explore my garden and see if I have any chameleons around. Definitely no impalas, though. We have some very peaceful evening impalas here on Mumba Road. And they are enjoying the last bits of light. Little bits of movement, even off the boughs, as you can see. On that dry grass. I think it's a sound I'll quite miss in the summer. It's so noticeable. And the winter crunch. Very, very nice. Now, you know, I can't help it if I happen upon a chameleon, okay? So please don't be upset with me if I happen upon one. But I hope that Steve will find one for his dear friend. If not my chameleon, too would be Steve's friend's chameleon. In fact, if we both find chameleons, they'd both be for that person, too. Well, they're starting to move further and further into the block and enjoying their evening dinner, really, at this time. Sorry, Emma. I only got all the viewers. I hope it was all the viewers are happy. Is that what it was? Oh. They are hungry impalas. Very, very hungry impalas. Hungry impalas, some would say. Anyway, let's drive along because it's this time of the evening when predators would be mobile. Maybe we'd try our luck with a leopard, last-minute leopard, on our way home. So let's move along. Sorry, Impala, it's not that I don't like you. You're wonderful. Put that off for these guys. There we go. I like this time of the evening. There's just potential for so much. We could find some owls, chameleons, scrub hares, leopards. Last night, sorry Emma, popped out if you're talking to me. Last night I saw the civet, the famous civet that is around the new rooms at the bottom towards drainage. I finally saw it. You can see civet. Genet, it's been a long time since we've seen a genet. Potential for so much. And I really, really like that. You're all very excited that I've seen one. It was so chilled out. So, as you can tell, I was getting excited last night even more than what you're seeing right now. But it was so chilled. It was just turned and looked at me like that. Well, not exactly. Didn't smile like that. But it was very, very... It was a very enjoyable experience. So now we're going to have to find one, Emma says. Well, the tracks are all around. And you see their tracks far more than you'll ever see them. Fortunately, that's just the way it goes. Sometimes you can even with your spotlight see little butterflies that have gone to sleep. And they hang with their wings closed on trees. They can sometimes fool you into thinking there's a chameleon there if there's two of them sleeping. Well, let's hold thumbs for a last-minute leopard for ourselves. Maybe it'll happen, maybe it won't. But Nikki was on the lookout, so let's go and get a report.
So unfortunately, no report yet. So we are just carefully scanning this area where that impala or that carcass was. And we haven't seen anything yet. I wonder if she's still like away and on her way back here. I haven't really seen the carcass. I'm trying to scan some of the trees. And I don't know if she might have taken the kill down, or maybe if the kill was stolen. So I'm not too sure. I'm carefully scanning the area, and hopefully there is something. Just want to carefully scan under the trees, maybe up the tree. Look out for any eyes shining, or possibly even, I just want to stop like this and just show you the area more or less where we think there might be a leopard. So it's somewhere up in this area here. So it's really dense, as you can see. So we're going to slowly carry on. And earlier on, we also stopped to listen if there were any sounds of maybe bones crunching or something moving through the grass that could potentially give us an update. But we're just carefully scanning. So I just want to scan that tree as well. This is exciting. This is very exciting. But we're just going to move forward a slight bit. But while we do that, let's send you across to Steve with some ellies.
Thanks, Nikki. Well, my chameleon search is hopelessly thwarted. I cannot go. I'm being asked to check my passport. They want my documents, everybody. What a splendid way to end the evening. Two cheeky young elephants. The mum is off to the side feeding, and these two have thought, well, we're going to influence this man as much as possible because, well, we can. We're big. Anyway, mum's big. Must be a boy, that one on the right, just the way he's behaving. Trunk on the floor. He knows one day he's going to be able to do this for hours, and we will stand here and wait. Yes, you are so formidable. Mum is off to the right, just laughing at them, per se. What are you children doing? Stop playing with those people. HB, these are the world's biggest chameleons. Well, the cheeky one in front of us is still being cheeky. Mum isn't too concerned with our presence, but the young one's like, oh, Mum's not concerned. I'm going to throw dust at them. Now she's like, come on, children. What a wonderful family photo. She's basically saying, you're not getting a chameleon tonight, guys. That's okay. We've got another. Well, we're pointing in the tree, going up here. Look up here for a chameleon. Up there. There's... Imagine there was one there, Craigie. I would fall over I'd fall over and die if there was one there. Over here. Over here. I'm still going to have a look once I turn away with my spotlight, because if there is one there, this is going to be just a world of fun. A world of fun. Now, as they move off, I'm just going to check with my spotlight. I don't see one, but that could have been the blind being led by the elephants. You want to find a chameleon? Right, over there. Everyone, I don't know what to say about that. That was just classic. I'm going to move up a bit so you can just give you one last shot of their bottoms as they depart. They depart into the bushes up ahead of us. How's that, Craigie? A bit more? Pisces, elephants are the best. Just a little bit into this gap. Sorry, Craigie. One more little bit. And there we go. Sorry about that. Not the best position. There it is. Hello, you cheeky little boy. You can probably just hear them moving off. And sorry about the ending there, everybody. Elephants in the IR is often not the best, but we do thank you all for your patience with us this afternoon. It has been super wonderful to show you wonderful scenes from the wild. Wonderful images, birds and all sorts. Trishala with the Telemorties. What a splendid way to end the show. Elephants leading the way. We will see you tomorrow morning, same time, same place. Thanks from all of us, and we will see you in the morning. Good night and goodbye.